Every morning across the globe, millions of people wake up dreading the idea of going to work. Not necessarily because of the work itself, but because of the person that they work for. Maybe it's the leader who micromanages every single thing you do. Maybe it's the leader who takes account and credit for everything. Or perhaps it's the leader who you just can't find them when you need them. Regardless of the situation, I found this one thing to be true. You can't control your manager, but if you understand them, you can control how much they impact you. And that's what we're going to focus on this season of season 4 of So Your Boss Sucks.
So your boss sucks. Now what? You ain't broken. Trust your gut. So your boss sucks. Now what? Time to rise up. Make the cut. Yeah, boss sucks. Now what? Now boss sucks. Now what? Yeah, boss sucks. Now boss sucks.
Welcome to this episode of So Your Boss Sucks. Now what? I'm your host, Natalie Renee Parker, and I'm excited to be with you. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope pod to step to. But we've been busy, folks. We've been really, really busy, and I've missed you, and I hope you've missed us too. We've had a couple of things cooking in the fire, so let me tell you about what we've been doing while we have not been podcasting. First, we have won Best Indie Podcast from the Signal Awards 2025. We are beyond excited about that. Thank you to the Signal Awards. Thank you to my team. But most of all, thank you to the 55 countries that were listened to. I am out of my mind that 55 different countries of people listen to this podcast. And our second largest country listening is Germany. So, hello, folks from Germany. Glad you're listening. Glad you find this valuable. It means the world to me to know that this is important to you. I've survived some really bad bosses, and it was a leap of faith to do this, to say out loud that bosses suck. But because of you, we are here, we are doing this work, and we're excited about it. We also got awarded from a Chamber of Commerce, and the big news is, drumroll please, that last year I taped a TEDx, and that TEDx was picked as editor's pick. What does that mean? So we taped in September, the event was in September, and in March of this year, March of 2026, we got selected as an editor's pick. And as of today, that TED Talk has nearly 20,000 views. My mind is blown. I am beyond excited. And if you haven't checked it out, we'll put it in the show notes, or you can look it up on YouTube. It's Natalie Parker, How to Handle a Bad Boss. And this conversation over the last 3 seasons really earmarked this idea that was in my TED Talk. So I want to thank you all for giving me the space. What's the song say? Thank you for letting me be myself again. It is amazing. And I'm so excited. I do hate that so many of us have experienced this, but I do believe that we are creating agency and opportunity for folks to really move from surviving to thriving. And we're excited about that. As an entrepreneur, we've got clients. Our team has been servicing them. We've been doing coaching and consulting and team building and workshops in the 9, and also keynoting, which we're also really excited about. But in all of that, I realized that in having a conversation about bad bosses, we haven't talked about how to understand them. And so that's what the season is about. We're going to be talking about how to decipher the archetype of your bad boss. Now, let me be clear. People in general are not bad, at least in my philosophy. Now, do you have people who are, have mental illness, and we can argue long and hard about whether or not people are bad. But for the purposes of our conversation, I'm going to ask you to embrace this idea that your leader as a person may not be a bad person. They have terrible behavior. So we're going to be using labels. We're going to be using labels to help you understand it. Now, let me be very clear. I'm giving you an archetype. That means I'm giving you a list of identifiable describers for you to determine whether or not your boss has this behavior. I will also say to you that more often than not, a person is not one archetype. They can go from micromanager to absentee. They can go from narcissist to ally. It's a whole bunch of stuff. But we're going to go archetype by archetype, type by type, and talk about what are the behaviors you see How do you predict the behaviors? And how do you manage and navigate around them so that they're not a problem and they don't impact you nearly as much as it should? Because once you recognize the pattern, you can then plan for your problem. So what are the things we're going to talk about? Well, first, episode 1, micromanagement. It's our favorite. We've all had one. Somebody who can't get out of our bag is always digging through the details. Even if we've dug through the details 15 times, we're going to talk about micromanagers because they have small issues that create big stress. In episode 2, we're going to talk about bullies, people who use their power and authority to control you or the situation. And we'll also be talking about passive aggressive bosses because, the boss who says things inadvertently and just expects you to catch the drift, that person, you ever had that person? We're also going to be talking about the narcissist. Have you ever had someone who just plays with their emotions like a yo-yo in a roller coaster? Maybe they're dangling the carrot and then they beat you with a stick. Whatever it is, we're going to talk about them as well. What about a credit thief? Have anybody ever had someone who stole credit? Let me know in the show notes, in the comments, if you've ever had somebody steal your credit. And I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you some of my own personal stories of how I've had to actually articulate to someone, I know what you did, I didn't like it, and I'm telling. Now, granted, I was in my 20s. I don't recommend you do that, but it was fun while I did it. Maybe you don't have a narcissist, maybe you don't have a micromanager, but maybe you have a leader who's just never there. The manager is just never there. They're never there to help you. They're never there to rescue you. You're just kind of on your own, the absentee boss. Some of us, I think also in this culture, it's kind of normal. We have the boss that blames you for everything. They blame everyone. They don't take accountability for the things that are happening. We'll have conversations about dictators, people who believe that their authority, the sun rises and sets on their authority. No matter what you do, it's all about what they want, regardless if it's right, wrong, or indifferent. And then we'll also talk about how behind every bad boss, there's another boss behind them. And so we're going to have a whole conversation on how you can assess, how you can take inventory and the things you can do to manage and mitigate the impact. We'll also talk about ways that you may trigger some of this behavior yourself, because it's not lost on me, having sat on the other side of the HR table, that some of y'all necessarily don't have the integrity. You don't have you're not always doing what you need to do. Like, I don't know, show up to work on time, do the thing that you're asked, be accountable, all of those things. So we'll talk about both the bad boss behaviors and the behaviors you need to adopt to mitigate your impact as well. What you're going to get in every episode, we're going to give you the profile of the bad boss, but then we're also going to give you steps on how you can mitigate it. We'll give you warning signs, common triggers, why they behave the way they do, and how you can interact. And for those of you who are interested, we are building, super excited about this, a tool where you can assess and determine what kind of bad boss you have. You'll be able to take this from my website, yourbosssucks.com, and you'll be able to see exactly what kind of leader you have and get a playbook on how you need to handle it. We want to begin to give you tools and resources that you can use to help make your life better, because you do have to work to live, but you shouldn't have to be browbeaten to do it. So before we dive into our archetype in our next season, I want you to think about every bad boss you've had. Not the worst one, but just all of them. What are the things that have happened? What are the things that are in common? What are the patterns? Recall how you responded emotionally. How did it make you feel? What did it make you think? What did it make you say? How much time did you waste commiserating and complaining about it rather than creating a plan of action on how you can mitigate it? We're going to talk about all of that in this season, and I'm excited. So tune in, tell a friend, make sure you tune in to this season because you're not going to want to miss it. That's me for today. Check out the season, and remember, don't let your boss suck the life out of you. Ciao.
So your boss sucks. Now what?